All right, it's time. I wanted to do this for a while, so I'm gonna do it. Um, I'm gonna talk some politics. I don't like talking politics, but I'm going to. I talk politics quite a bit, not on this channel. On Discord, I do. Let me address some things first before people try to come in here and raid me. Number one, in no way do I condone hate for Asians. Asian people, I have nothing against them. Number two, burning any country's flag is just showing your political beliefs and it's that you hate that country. Because I sent an image of the Chinese flag on fire. And it's because I hate China. If you do not know, China is probably my most hated country in the world. Now, Turkey has eclipsed China because Turkey is probably the worst country in NATO. China, everyone knows why I hate China. The Uyghur genocide, the Tibet abuse, Hong Kong, they lie about Tiananmen Square, and they do the worst in the world. Plus, COVID came from China. And it's a fact. It did come from China. There's valid proof that it came from China. Well, Taiwan, but Taiwan tried. China didn't. Now, and number three, if you falsely accuse me of being a racist, I will accuse you of propaganda and go after you for it. Unless we drop it, which in this case, this certain individual. I'm not going to state names because I don't like starting drama on this channel. Because those days are gone. I've been done with those days. Now, I had to mention someone last time because they mentioned me first. So I had to address it. This time I'm addressing it, but I'm not going to mention this person because now we're starting to drop it. But I'm going to talk some politics. First up, we're going to talk about Finland and Sweden joining NATO. Turkey surprisingly changed their mind. This is, in my opinion, a bad thing because this is going to spark a big war in the world. Everyone knows I blame NATO expansion for leading up to World War III, and I've been saying NATO expansion is what's going to lead to World War III. And it's probably going to happen, too. Now, Russia is invading Ukraine. Everyone knows, if you've been living under a rock, Russia's invading Ukraine. For what reason? They don't want you. One, they don't want Ukraine joining NATO. Two, an independent Donbass region. Three, the whole world to recognize Crimea to be a part of Russia, because Russia annexed Crimea in 2014 under President Obama, when Obama was the president of the United States of America. Y'all know me. I hate Donald Trump. Because of his ego. His ego makes me hate him. But Putin had a great deal of respect for him, and Putin feared him. Putin didn't know what Trump was going to do. So he didn't invade, because he was like, I'm going to get screwed over if I invade Ukraine. And when Zelensky first came into presidency of Ukraine, Trump withheld funding to Ukraine just simply to get them to do what he wants to do. What he wanted them to do, we do not know. We truly do not know. Plus, Ukraine can't even join NATO. They're in an active conflict. You can't join if you're in an active conflict, and Ukraine is in an active conflict with, the Donbass region. There's conflict going on there. Because that region wants independence. Ukraine is saying no. They went in and fight them. Like, separatists in the Donbass took Luhansk and Donetsk, declared them independent from Ukraine. Japan. Now we're going to talk about the whole China-Taiwan thing. I don't want to hear anything from you if you support China. Nothing whatsoever. You won't understand this. China causes the problems in Asia. China causes all those problems. The thing with this country is they don't understand. Actually, we don't understand what to do with foreign policy. Like Obama, we stuck our nose in Libya and Syria. We shouldn't have done that. We ruined Libya. Nobody likes Gaddafi. Nobody does. Oh, they will, probably. Unless, the defensive. But we're in a defensive pact with Taiwan. Will we respond to them? Probably not. We have too many companies running in China. Way too many. China has a monopoly on American companies. So we probably won't get involved because that's going to flat out kill our economy. And Biden did say that I will come to the aid of Taiwan. Now, my thing is, and Iran. Iran also is a problem. Pakistan is probably going to be the big problem. Pakistan's going to start World War III if they do something with India. India's in a defensive pact with the USA, and of course, India is also a Russian ally, so that would not be a good idea for Pakistan to do that because India is a Russian ally. Scotland is holding a referendum about independence in 2023. Well, Maple, and I know about that. I'm Eastern Central European. I know a lot about that. I'll let you in, but you'll be the only person I let in. Because I want to hear your opinion about this whole thing. Now, Maple, there's a link. I'm going to make it very clear for you guys. In no way do I condone a war. I don't condone invasions. I don't support invasions. I support peace. Russia tried to go diplomacy, but we were preparing for sanctions. Addy Maple.
Hold on.
You good?
Yeah, just hold on.
But, yeah.
I just gotta do something really quick.
They're one of them, but it's Turkey. Not even close. Having conflict with France, Netherlands, and Greece. And not only that, but they're technically an active participant in the invasion because they're controlling those drones that Ukraine is using. Because Ukraine doesn't know how to use those drones. So Turkey's controlling them from Ankara. India's got some problems too.
I mean, India has shitty human rights.
In India, there's unrest because some Muslim dude, and I know it's a Muslim because Muslims and Hindus hate each other.
So you wanted to talk about like, Ukraine, Russia?
More than that, but I know a lot about Ukraine and Russia because I've
All
been paying
right. Well,
attention to it since
from
I'm
what you
Eastern and
know,
Central Europe.
from what you know, who do you support?
Neutral.
Okay, okay, so you do know some things. Now, if it came to the point where you had to choose a side, what will you side with?
The war, I don't support it at all. I don't
Yeah, but
support
like,
war.
say if you were in that situation where you had to
If I
support
was in a
one or the other.
situation, I don't know, because I know someone who went to the Donbass and got murdered there. But
Well,
again, I absolutely hate Vladimir Putin.
I mean, he's a smart dude. He's just an asshole.
Putin is probably the
You
Putin
can
is in the
hate him all
top
you want,
five
but
for
you
best
can agree
leaders.
that he's one of the smartest leaders in the
He is
world.
one of the smartest. He's ex-KGB.
Yeah, exactly. But I have family in Irpin, Ukraine.
Yeah, like I know people
And,
from Ukraine and I know people from Russia. I connect to a lot
yeah,
of people from Eastern Europe
well,
because I'm in
I'll
Central
go
and
over
Eastern.
like from what I know from people that live in Ukraine
Like, yeah.
and here. So I
Ukraine.
have
I'm gonna tell you about something. There's a militia in Ukraine that
the
that
Azovstovs.
commits human rights violations.
Yeah, I know
The
the
Azov
Azovstovs.
Battalion.
Yes, I know. They're Nazis.
Yeah, they're
They're
in
far
Ukraine's
right. Yeah, I know.
military. I don't care what side you
That's what I was
support.
gonna
You
go
shouldn't
into.
support Azov at all. They're
Yeah,
Nazis.
well, this is what I was gonna go into. So after the revolution in 2014, where the Luhansk and Donetsk republics split, it's like
And when Russia
split.
annexed Crimea.
I know, but I'm going more into those regions because those are more of an important factor than Crimea. When they split away from Ukraine, Ukraine didn't really want to fight those people, so they gave money and equipment to the Azovstovs and all these other far-right militias to go against and kill those people. Now, what was going on since 2014 is not millions, but like thousands of these Russian-speaking separatists were being killed, and no one was protecting them besides Russia. And Russia launched their invasion like in February, saying, "Oh, this is going to protect the people." Now, if he would have stayed in eastern Ukraine and like support the Lugansk and Donetsk people, like he said he would, I would have supported the war. But the reason I side with Ukraine is that he went for he tried to take over the whole country. How does that and then that basically just throws out what he said he would do at the start of it. He completely dropped those people to take over the country, and then he failed miserably, and then now he's in the east and they're getting pushed back from everywhere. Now, if he would have
And
stuck
well,
in the east, I would have supported it, but he took more. He wanted to go for more, which then I don't support that.
but the thing I'm gonna mention is this. Ukraine would absolutely try to fight back if Russia just stayed in the east and pulled out after they fought in the east.
Yeah, but the
Ukraine would be like,
Russians would
we're gonna
have.
continue this.
The Russians don't have a good army. They still go Soviet style. You can't win a war in today's ages with World War II style like
Ukraine
stuff.
does too, but but NATO is giving them weapons. And something I
Hmm.
read, I don't know if it's true or not, but I read this. A Ukrainian official admitted to lying about mass rape just to get more weapons from the West.
And what article is that from?
I already forgot it, but I saw it somewhere, and I was like, "That's propaganda." Ukraine spreads propaganda too.
Well, no, every country spreads propaganda,
Yeah,
but
like
if you but the whole world has their satellites on the country, and from what we know and from what we're seeing, Ukraine is winning the war. Yes, there's still Russians in their territory, but they're pushing them back.
But the thing is,
And
there's still problems within,
well, if they
especially
keep getting these weapons,
like
they're gonna keep
there's gonna
steamrolling Russia.
something tells me there's gonna be rebellions more rebellions in the east against Ukraine, and
Most
Russia's
of the
gonna take advantage of
Ukrainians
it.
don't like. Basically, most of the regions besides Luhansk and Donetsk love pro-Western Ukraine. That's why the whole revolution happened. It was only the eastern part of Ukraine, and specifically those two regions that were pro-Russian. So, and I think after what happened in this war, where the Russians were bombing shopping centers and children hospitals in Kiev, and look what they did in Mariupol. No one's gonna support that.
I don't support any war. It doesn't matter who invades who. I won't support a war. Now,
Now, Ukraine
India
didn't provoke this invasion.
and
They
NATO
were
expansion, because I
well.
read a
There's nothing
lot
wrong
of
with
reports
Ukraine
that
joining
Ukraine
NATO.
was trying to join NATO.
And there's nothing wrong with that. The reason they wanted to join the year before is right after Biden was put into office, Russia started building camps right onto the border. He was preparing to invade Ukraine a year before the initial invasion. So when they saw the camps, they wanted to join NATO before they got attacked because they knew it was coming.
Yeah, but here's the
And
thing. In order to be admitted into NATO, you can't be in an active conflict.
and they weren't at a time with another country.
Two, you need a unanimous approval, which will be shot down by Germany, because they actually did shoot down Ukraine joining NATO in '08 because
That
Merkel
was
wanted
Yeah,
good
Merkel.
relations with
She wasn't the
Russia.
leader
And for her
at the
credit,
time. Yeah, but Merkel was a stupid bitch. The new German chancellor is a really he's pro. Like he's more like favorable for Ukraine. So Germany would not have shot it down.
yeah, and my thing is, NATO is flawed. Like, for example, Turkey and Greece, they absolutely hate each other.
Mhm.
And it's over the Aegean Islands, which are rightfully Greek land.
Yeah, but well now it's not.
Erdogan literally threatened war on Greece. People are like, wouldn't Article 5 trigger? I'm like, I don't think it would, because it's two NATO members.
They wouldn't go to war with each other. It's just talk. Every
Yeah,
country has disputes.
they almost did in the '70s when Turkey invaded Cyprus illegally.
Yeah, but well, there's no. If you know truly about war, there's no crimes in war. Like there's
Everyone
no
does
laws
it.
in wars. Like
Every
no one's gonna go by any laws in wars.
yeah, like
Nobody follows any laws. Look what
yeah, like
America
the
did to the Middle
U.S.,
East.
Iraq, Libya, Yugoslavia.
Exactly.
Because
America's
remember,
just as bad as Russia.
we bombed the Chinese embassy.
hmm And America's just as worse as China. I mean Russia. They're both horrible countries.
The only
And look
reason
at
Russia is
Canada.
worse because Russia actually violates
No,
human rights.
You don't think America does either?
America's nowhere near as bad as Russia.
That doesn't matter about human rights. Look at America committed genocide too.
Yeah, I know we did.
So they
Iraq,
still did equally as
Serbia.
and they still did equally as bad as Russia.
Yeah, and no one talks about what Turkey ever did. Nobody
Well,
does.
Turkey's fucked. And
No,
wasn't their new name
they
like
deny
Turkey?
everything. Turkey denies everything.
Well, I mean, America denies that, likes to deny the fact that what they did was wrong.
Yeah, we do too, but Turkey denies a literal genocide, the Armenian genocide.
Well, my country's fucked because our leader's a communist.
Trudeau's an idiot.
He's taking all our
Erdogan and
human
Trudeau are
rights.
the Erdogan, Trudeau, and Biden are the worst leaders in
I know,
NATO.
like, honestly, like,
And Macron. Macron is horrible.
I mean, Macron is, like, he's not horrible, but he's not, like, bad. Like, I don't support him, but I don't hate him.
The only smart leader in NATO during the whole Russia tensions of Ukraine, Macron. He tried to solve it diplomatically. He actually
No, I
visited
think he just
Russia.
did that for votes. He really doesn't care about Ukraine. Because after the election, he kind of stopped.
And for
I don't think he cared.
my thing is, Greece doesn't like Ukraine. The president does, but a lot of government officials I see in Greece are Russia supporters.
Lots of Americans support Russia too.
Yeah, like Ted Cruz, not Trump. Trump?
No, I remember Trump did an interview, and I think it was in 2018 where Putin called Trump talking about wanting to invade Ukraine, and Trump told Putin these words: "If you step one foot into Ukraine, there will be missiles on your doorstep in Moscow." And then after that, Putin did not invade. But right
Yeah,
after Trump
because
left office, and there's a timeline, an hour after Biden became the president of the United States, Russia sent troops to the border to start getting their camps ready.
Russia knew Biden wouldn't do anything but just sanction.
And then look at the sanctions; they're hurting the entire world.
Yeah, except India, because India has, ever since the invasion, gone from buying 1% of Russian gas to 18% of Russian gas.
Well, I mean, that's kind of smart because if Russia is getting desperate for money, they're gonna buy the materials for cheap.
See, I knew India would abstain their vote.
Well, I mean,
They're a Russian ally too.
you
They're a
gotta
Russian
respect
and an
their
American ally.
that's their
Soon they
heritage
won't be an
ally.
American. Pretty soon, however, they won't be an American ally because Pakistan got a new regime.
Oh, isn't their new regime like Western?
It's going to be. And India's soon going to go to China and Russia as their main
No,
allies.
China and Russia are big enemies. I mean,
And
China and India.
India right now really does not like China.
I know, they're not. So why would they become allies?
Probably because India's like, screw America now.
I think you're forgetting one country that you should really be worried about.
China's the only country that I'm worried about, period.
Yeah, but they signed a military deal with another country recently.
Russia?
Iran.
I'm not worried about Iran.
Well, they're in the final stages of getting nuclear missiles. Do you really trust Iran with nuclear missiles?
No, but you know, I don't
There
trust
will be
Israel
nukes
with
flying.
nukes. I don't trust Israel with nukes, and they have nukes.
Israel.
That situation is completely screwed over.
I mean, Israel's not going around threatening the nuke people.
Yeah, but Israel occupies the entire West Bank and Gaza Strip.
Mm-hmm.
But that situation is all the fault of Great Britain.
Yeah. But if you
They
go into like the first part of the conflict,
Palestine was a British colony, as
but
was like
what started this
25% of the
really big
world at one
conflict,
point.
though, it was
Britain
like
caused
in the 60s.
Britain caused
But
most of the
Palestine,
conflicts.
but I hear people defend Palestine saying, "Ooh, they took all this land." Well, the reason they have so much land to this day is they tried to team up with other Arab countries and invade Israel, the 6 Day War, and Israel took lots of land from Palestine and these a little bit of other countries,
You know how
defending
bad the Arab
itself.
countries are? The Soviets helped them.
Yeah, the
Israel
Middle East, they're not.
still won.
Because
Israel even
I
had
mean,
a conflict with the Soviets.
Israel isn't really like, they're not. I mean, Israel, I don't think they're that bad of a country.
I support a two-state solution to that problem,
Oh no,
but
I think
Palestine
that'd
would
be
be a
good too.
disaster if it
But you
was
gotta
fully
realize with
independent.
Palestine is no one's gonna negotiate with them because they're a terrorist. Hamas
Yeah,
is
they
a
have
terrorist group.
Hamas.
So why would Israel want to negotiate with terrorists?
Yeah, well, they tried, but Palestine said no. Israel at first accepted the UN vote. Palestine was like, no. And Israel's like, fine, then you won't exist.
Yeah,
If
I
you
mean,
don't
it's gonna
accept that
come to the
peace, then we're
point.
not going to let you exist.
It's gonna come to the point where Israel just gets rid of everything.
Israel's
Well,
going to invade that whole state, and it's not going to exist anymore. They're going to
and
outright annex everything.
I see people saying, "Oh, Israel kills children." Well, these children go in there with knives, guns. What do you think they're gonna do?
So they're going to fight back.
Like,
Now,
Palestine
Israel,
sends kids to
I don't
fight.
condone them for killing those journalists. I
Well, that
don't condone
journalist,
that.
that girl that died, she was in she was in crossfire with other Palestinian terrorists that were shooting at Israeli soldiers. She was in the crossfire. It was an unfortunate situation, but it was not intentional.
Yeah, and you know who I have a bad feeling is going to end up getting nuclear weapons?
Yeah.
Belarus.
Well, I mean, they're carrying nuclear weapons, but I don't think they will
Yeah,
develop them.
well,
They're too
Lukashenko.
broke. Lukashenko,
Lukashenko's
no.
their leader. He's horrible, by the way.
Oh no, he is horrible. I know he's a dictating
He's
piece of shit.
he's arguably the dumbest leader in the world. He's so
I wouldn't go
brain
that
dead.
far.
He's so brain dead. Like he faked a bomb threat in order to arrest a political opponent.
Well, that happens lots in Eastern countries.
Yeah, and you know who got mad at that? Poland.
Yeah, well, I don't think Poland will invade
Poland
anything.
won't invade Belarus. If Poland does decide to invade Belarus, then they're screwed because Russia's going to come in and kill them. And
Russia's
NATO
army
is
is not
not going to.
suitable.
NATO would
Russia,
not help
no,
Poland
no.
if they invaded Belarus because Poland's the
Russia,
aggressor.
Russia will not do shit. You gotta realize their men are not. They're trained to fight like Soviet style, and that's not. And as you see it, it's impossible against these Western weapons. So it wouldn't do anything. Poland will take Kaliningrad within a week.
The thing is, though, Kaliningrad is heavily fortified. It's Russia's only warm water port.
And you don't. What do you think is stopping Lithuania or Latvia from joining in? They get a
Lithuania
little
or
bit.
Latvia, because Moldova's like right next to Ukraine.
Yeah.
I have a feeling it's going to get invaded because of a breakaway province in Moldova.
I mean, I can see that, but the only way that's gonna happen is if the Russians could take Odessa and make like kind of like a land bridge from Kherson and Crimea. But like the way the war is going on, that's not gonna happen, and Russia is in no position to fight two wars right now.
Or a pro-Russian regime in Ukraine, and Russia
That's
moves troops
yeah.
through it and invades Moldova and
Well,
forces
Russia
Moldova to
support Russia.
recognize
Russia gives weapons to Transnistria or Transnistria, whatever their name is.
Transnistria. Now,
That's the name
Georgia,
of the.
I've been saying for a while, Georgia is Putin's next target.
I mean, Putin already got what
Because
he wanted. All he wanted to do was make these little regions and give them a separatist group so he can arm them up and then make them fight the war for him. Putin already got what he wanted in Georgia. He's just waiting
Putin
for
was
the separatists
Maple.
to
Maple. Before you go on with
execute.
that, Putin was not president when they invaded Georgia.
Yeah, he was
Prime
that
Minister.
guy.
Dmitry
There was
Medvedev, the
no
only leader of the
with
Russian
him.
Federation I liked.
He was Putin's puppet.
Medvedev was gonna. I knew
He
they
was
would invade
Putin's
Georgia
puppet.
too. I was little when it happened, and I knew Georgia was gonna get
Zach,
invaded.
there's a whole documentary on it. He was Putin's puppet.
That's a bad
Putin gave the
idea.
orders.
That's a really bad idea. He can't even do that because most of them are in NATO.
Well,
He
he
won't
can't do
touch a
that because
NATO country.
he can't even. He has to fight Ukraine first, and Ukraine is not. They're not beating Ukraine. They're not. I wouldn't even be surprised if Ukraine got Crimea back.
I won't be
Because like,
either.
well, what's
And they're
stopping Ukraine?
my thing is with. No, he doesn't. He doesn't want the USSR 2.0.
No, he doesn't want the USSR.
He's
He
not a communist.
well, no,
Zyuganov,
he wants
however,
no. There's truth and false to what he said. I think Putin wants to gain these old USSR borders, but he wants to keep it more like he doesn't want it communist, but he wants the old land.
yeah.
That's been his goal since the Berlin Wall fell.
Yeah. Putin called the USSR. Ukraine is fighting back, but they will lose the war. They'll
Well,
be
then
tired
they're
and
not.
out of
They're getting well. They have over 1 million reserves, and that
and
overwhelms the
Russia has
Russian
2
attackers.
million reserves.
Yeah, but they can't send all of them because that would look so bad against Putin. And if you want to say, "Ooh, Russia's winning the war," they would have took the country by now. You
Eventually, Russia will end up winning because Ukraine is going
what?
to
Okay,
be. Because this, in my opinion, is a war of attrition. Russia is trying to slow down the Ukrainian army. They're
no,
trying to tire
that's
them out.
not it at all. If you look at what Putin and the military generals said, they said they can take Ukraine within 48 hours. And right when they invaded, they blitzkrieged the country. They got close, but they failed. They failed so
If
miserably.
they didn't lose in Kiev, they would have took the capital and won.
But
And
they
Ukraine
couldn't
would have
even
had
they weren't
new
even close
regime,
to
independent
Kiev though.
Donbass, and Russia controls Crimea still.
And in the
That's
east, yeah, and if you look in the east, Russia is getting pushed out of Kherson. They're getting pushed out of the Lugansk and Donetsk regions. Russia took over Surdansk, but they're getting pushed out again. And they got pushed out of Kharkiv. They're getting pushed out of everywhere.
they did. Turkish drones pushed them out.
So Russia, they can't fight against Western weapons.
Yeah.
And,
You
Western
know,
countries are just going to keep supplying Ukraine until Russia stops the war.
Turkey struggled in Cyprus. This reminds me of Turkey invading Cyprus. Turkey mightily struggled. The Cypriot militias pushed Greece out. Not push Greece out, push Turkey out.
Yeah, but the thing, you can't really compare that because the death numbers for the Lugansk DPRs, they're high too. They're getting crushed. Like, honestly, if you would have told me back in February, I would have said Russia would have won the war. But if you're looking at their defeats and just the way they're going at it, they're failing.
I think
Like,
they will win, but they lose at the same time.
it's a loss either way because Putin wanted to take the country. Yes, maybe they can get a little bit of land, but they're not going to get a land bridge from Crimea. It's not happening. They're not going to get
Now,
any of those regions. And Mariupol, that's not really a victory. Look at it. It's gone. The
Mariupol's
whole
leveled.
region.
Um,
Yes, I guess you have more ports, but like, what was the point of wasting all those men for a city that's completely destroyed?
And now I was talking
No,
about India earlier, and India and Pakistan,
I mean their
that's
conflict
going to be
has
the World War
died
III.
down. Like they haven't been that serious.
That is more serious.
India and Pakistan, their conflict is just that's not even a threat right now because
But
they're not like they're not they have been pretty like fine for the last couple of months. There has
here's the
been no
thing.
active conflicts.
But Maple, can I make up a point? They're both nuclear powers.
And America and Russia are nuclear powers, and there's American troops on the Russian border with other NATO countries.
Yeah,
What's your
and
point?
China's a nuclear power too.
Hmm.
Like India and Pakistan, the United States supported Pakistan during the Cold War.
I'm gonna tell you right now, you don't gotta worry about India and Pakistan. There won't be a war.
I
It
think there
won't.
will
It
be
won't
because
happen.
Kashmir, those two still hate each other, and they
I
will
know.
never. North Korea is not a threat,
No, North Korea is just doing all these missile tests because Kim wants to have the attention.
and
North Korea is definitely not.
North Korea is poorer than Haiti.
No, North Korea would get fucking demolished.
They'd get demolished
And
without
I even
China
think,
helping.
no, China would actually probably take the advantage to take some of North Korea, take some land.
Yeah,
Like, and
North
Russia,
Korea.
obviously, they can't do anything.
North Korea doesn't have any sort of relationship with
But you want to
us.
know, here's a conflict I think you need to worry about the most right now is Israel and Iran.
Syria too.
No, Syria, they're involved, but like Syria's a
Turkey,
shithole. Like,
and not only that, Turkey is trying to aid them again.
well, they want to take out the Kurdish, but like, I don't think they're gonna
And they
invade the
want to fill
country
that
even.
region with Syrians and Kurds.
And
Not
if
Kurds,
they
but
do,
Turks.
well, I mean, I don't really care. Syria's a shithole country.
And Syria just recognized the DPR and the LPR.
But I think Israel, they're saying they want to bomb all the nuclear bomb facilities in Iran, so they can't be developed. Because I feel like once Iran has their first nuclear missile, they're gonna nuke Israel.
Yeah, even though these dudes hate Israel, you know who would not like that? Saudi
Mhm.
Arabia.
It'll be a shit show, and I really think they're really close to going to war.
Saudi and Iran too. Saudi and Iran
Yeah,
really
society
hate
will
each
get
other.
involved, most definitely, yeah. But I think Iran's the country, Iran and China. But I feel like Taiwan is like a lost cause. I don't really give a fuck what happens in Taiwan.
Um, and a
Like,
conflict
yes,
I'm also feel like is gonna evolve into World War III. Armenia and Azerbaijan.
no, it will not. That's just a little small country. It won't. I'm telling you right now.
The thing
Nobody
is, our
gives.
government backs Azerbaijan,
Yeah, you can back them, but like,
and
there,
most of the
it's
powers in the
not.
world
No
back
one's gonna get
Armenia.
involved in that.
Turkey did.
Even Russia didn't even want to help us side. They just fucking went in there and made like a peace barrier. They didn't want. Like,
Turkey was
nobody
act.
cares.
Turkey actively had guns and boots on the ground.
Yeah, and how many other countries built up on each other's
Pakistan
border?
tried.
Belarus did it to Poland. They're doing it right now to Poland. NATO's doing it to Belarus and Russia. China
Um,
did it. China, China right now is surrounding Taiwan. They have carriers
Vietnam.
all over
China
the
did it to
island.
Vietnam.
The point is, troops on the borders don't really mean shit unless
Vietnam
it's looking like
people
it's gonna be a war.
People don't know about Vietnam and China.
I mean, the only thing I know about Vietnam is they kicked America's ass.
They did. And they also whooped China.
Yeah, Vietnam, like, they have such a good geographical location.
And
It's like,
jungles.
I
Fighting
know,
in jungles
like,
is a
it's
nightmare.
impossible.
Vietnam and China to this day still hate each other.
Well, yeah, I don't really care so much about Vietnam. I mean, I don't know too much about their country to hate them or like them. But I just know that they kicked America's ass, which is kind of funny.
Most people, and China's brutal. Hello Kitty got to deal with China. Of course they did. Everyone gets to deal with China.
I
China
think
has a monopoly on like every single company.
I think Canada has the lowest. Has the most underrated military.
I think Israel does.
Our military would kick ass.
Canada's military is good. I think Israel's military is
we break down the
underrated.
White House.
Saudis is the most overrated because all they have is American weapons.
I say Canada would survive a war against America.
They could, but again,
Because look at the borders. It's all mountains. Like what you can't if you're going to
they're
invade.
long.
If you're going to invade from like the west, you got the Rockies. And the terrain in Canada is so favorable for defense. That's why they have trainings. There's always on these there's military bases on these mountains we have.
The one thing with Canada and why they wouldn't win is because most of their population lives south under this one line.
We wouldn't. I'm not saying we would win. America wouldn't win either, but we wouldn't lose. It would be more of like a peace deal and a new border.
Yeah.
Even if the border changes. But
remember in 2020 when
UK would defend Canada.
Remember when they tried to remember when India and China nearly went to war?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
2020. There was a conflict
between.
There was a skirmish between Indian and Chinese troops.
Mm-hmm.
And India whooped them, but there were tensions and they were high.
I feel like if that conflict ever happened, I think the world would kind of stay out of it. Because, like, the whole world depends on China, but they also support India at the same time, so they wouldn't.
And Russia would not get involved because Russia's an Indian and a Chinese ally.
No, Russia's too weak to get involved. Russia's army is proven that they got exposed on the battlefield. They're not as strong as they said they were. They are a nuclear power.
I'll take Russia's military over China's.
No, we never seen China's military in combat. We can't really say that.
China did worse than America and Vietnam.
That was years ago. We're talking about a modern day military.
China
is just as high tech as America's military. Russia, they're not really high tech. They kept the old Soviet style. That's why they're losing. But China is just as up to date as America is. That's what I'm trying to say to you, is China's military is built up like America's. Russia is not. And plus China has they have billions of people in the military. And with their population, they could literally keep manufacturing weapons.
Having more manpower doesn't mean you're going to win.
No, but what I mean is
I don't think China's military is any good.
Well, you don't know until you see them in combat action. And I think when they invade Taiwan, they're going to steamroll Taiwan. China's the true enemy.
No,
China is the true enemy.
Dude,
America would not go to war with China.
Taiwan would fend for their life off.
They can defend, but the difference between Ukraine and Taiwan is Ukraine they have so much places, but Taiwan's just a little island. All fucking China has to do is start bombing the shit out of all of their military stuff from the skies, and then shoot artillery from their navy ships and then start pushing into the island.
No. There are countries that would
China
help Taiwan in a actual
and
conflict.
India would not get involved.
India wouldn't, but Japan would, South Korea would, the Philippines would, Australia would, the UK would.
Yeah,
Most of the Commonwealth would get involved.
Yeah, and no one would win. Like you're not taking.
Taiwan honestly would win. Taiwan actually has a good military.
Oh, they do, but China overpowers them.
Taiwan's military is better than Ukraine's, easily.
Well, yeah. I don't disagree with you on that, but like, China's military is actually far more better than Russia's.
No.
Because at least China's more up to date with their stuff.
Then
the only thing Russia does,
dude, China lost to India India had swords.
You're going back in like years.
No, this happened recently.
Modern day militaries.
This happened military, dude.
And skirmishes at the border, just because a couple of soldiers were fighting.
And those all those Chinese soldiers had guns and were using them, and they still lost.
But they were outnumbered.
India's military is legit.
Oh, they are, but they don't want to use it.
Better than China?
China would win a war against India with full force.
India has these.
Nobody will beat China unless
India has India has so many Russian tanks that are better than Chinese tanks.
Yeah, and look at Russian tanks are garbage.
Chinese tanks are not good. There's no China's Air Force is also not good either.
Yeah. Well, why do you keep pumping up Russia's military?
Russia's military isn't that good, but China's is much worse.
No, they're not. They're like triple times more modern than Russia. They're like America. They're all up to date.
No,
like they're new and everything's new.
Most of China's military is outdated equipment.
No, that's not true at all.
Their missile launchers, give me a break. That is the most outdated missile launcher.
What do you mean? They can nuke us from space right now if they wanted to.
No.
They have.
They're
China
lying.
And America. China and America are the only two countries in the world that could shoot nukes from space.
China's lying about it.
No, there's been proof. Even America came out and said it.
China's known for lying.
But why would America admit that they can?
Because Biden's literally a Chinese puppet.
Trump said it.
Trump's lying about it. I know.
Why would Trump lie about their enemy? What?
Trump is lying about that because I know certain the Chinese aren't able to do that.
You've got to do more research then, because China's military is like fucking crazy.
I've been looking at China's military. I'm like, please, it's not as good as it is.
I'm telling you right now, China is. I still think America's the strongest, but China's not too far behind.
Dude, you lose to India using swords.
Again, those were a small group of troops. Nor
do you touch NATO. Most of NATO could beat China.
You can't compare an army because a couple of soldiers died. That does not mean shit.
And you want to know Turkey's military isn't any good? Because they invaded Syria and struggled mightily.
Yeah, well, this has nothing to do with Turkey.
Because no one talks about how bad Turkey's military is. Everyone talks about the Russian failure in Ukraine. Yet the Turkish military was doing the same thing in Syria.
Turkey, I don't know. I don't like Turkey either, but that has nothing to do with
Turkey is
China's not there.
Turkey's the worst country in NATO by far.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you on that.
Yeah.
They shouldn't really be in NATO, but yeah.
Yeah, they shouldn't. And NATO is not stronger than ever.
But I think Turkey finally accepted Finland in NATO, so they're gonna be in NATO like anytime now.
Nah,
So I
the
don't know
thing
when that
is,
happened.
Greece has every right to those islands. Turkey
Well,
is
they're
saying no.
historically Greece,
Yeah,
but they're
and
not Greece.
those islands, they are Greece.
Historically, but not now.
Now they are. They still are Greece.
There's been no UN. The UN hasn't said it.
The UN is. The UN. This is the same UN that literally recognizes the independent. That majority of them recognize the independence of Kosovo. Now it's been rescinded ever since. That issue. If Kosovo
Historically,
joins NATO, that's World War III. Serbia won't allow it.
they're not gonna join NATO. Like that's not gonna happen. But what I'm trying to say is, historically, they are Greece, but right now, they're occupied by Turkey. So it's Turkey's.
Not all of them.
Not all of them, but some of them are.
Some of them are, but Turkey's in
Yes,
no
I
right.
agree with you. I agree with you. It should be Greece, but it's not.
And like, what people don't understand about Greece and Turkey, NATO's not going to do anything. NATO didn't do anything in the 70s
No, I
when
think NATO would.
when NATO member Turkey invaded Cyprus, guaranteed by NATO member Greece. They did nothing.
No, I think if like Greece and Turkey had a direct conflict, NATO would go against the aggressor. So who attacked first?
It will be Turkey because Greece is never aggressive. But here's the thing,
Well, who
though,
knows what
Maple.
could happen?
Let
No
me.
one can predict the
Can I make?
future.
But Maple, can I make a point?
Go for it.
There are NATO members who support Turkey over Greece.
Yeah, and I don't
Germany,
agree with it.
Albania, Spain. I mean, Spain's weird. They're the only Western European country that doesn't recognize
Or,
Kosovo.
only thing maybe I can see that could happen is that they just kick both Turkey and Greece out of NATO for fighting each other and let them just fight on their own. Kick them both into the program.
One NATO member would help Greece if they both get
I
kicked
don't.
out. France.
France wouldn't get involved if NATO doesn't.
No, France would. France is in a defensive pact with Greece.
Yeah, well, America had a pact with Ukraine, but
But
America's not in
we
Ukraine.
don't. But a war of a nuclear power is a horrible idea.
Well, no, if you have a pact, you should defend. But are they in Ukraine right now? No.
And
So
the,
why does that mean France will?
but the thing is, France really hates Turkey.
And America really needs Ukraine.
My thing is, and Turkey has allies too. Azerbaijan, Pakistan.
They wouldn't get involved in the war.
Azerbaijan would.
No, then Armenia would fucking destroy them.
And then Russia would get involved and help Greece.
No, Russia will not get involved in a war. They can't.
Russia would steamroll
They
Azerbaijan.
they can't afford to get in any other wars right now.
I'm saying if Russia went to war with Azerbaijan, they would mess them up. even with
Well,
Turkish
yeah,
help.
because they're
Azerbaijan is
small.
pathetic,
Well, yeah, they're a little country, but
and
they
their
can't. But
military is
Russia
terrible.
can't.
It's not that good.
Well,
Armenia just
that's what. Yeah,
sucks.
I know. But what I mean is, like, Russia would win those type of wars, but they would not win a war against a more developed country.
Yeah, my thing is with NATO. There's not that much of a point considering Serbia because Spain is and Greece and Montenegro and Romania.
Well, every NATO country has their disagreements.
You know, like Greece, Montenegro, and Romania all support Serbia. Same with Spain.
Well, I know they do support each other, but it doesn't mean they're gonna go to war and break up the whole NATO pact. Majority of what probably would happen is this: most of none of the countries will get involved
Thing
because the
is,
world can't really afford to go to war right now, anyways.
I saw a scenario Serbia invading Kosovo because Kosovo finally got a
They
standing military.
they could invade again, and
If
I think
Serbia
maybe
does invade Kosovo,
Kosovo is getting close to joining the EU, which
but
Serbia's
my thing
panicking.
is Serbia, I don't think Kosovo is a country. It was started by Albania and America
Yeah, they had a weird history, but they are a sovereign country
because
now.
we bombed Serbia so bad. They were unstable and they collapsed.
I know, but they're still a sovereign country right now. They have a functional government.
Even though the reason to bomb it was supposedly to stop Milosevic from creating a genocide, there's proof there was no genocide. They didn't, and it wasn't even Serbia. It was the Bosnians who did it, not even the
Yeah, I know,
Serbs.
I know what you mean.
Srebrenica massacre, a Bosnian was responsible for it.
And wasn't it like that the closest time NATO and Russia almost went to war
Yeah,
because of that?
because Russia had peacekeepers in Kosovo. NATO thought they were Serbian, and they almost opened fire on them.
Yeah, that was pretty nuts.
And if Russia went to war with NATO, I wouldn't be living.
I don't think nukes would. I think nukes would be used, but I think after like a couple of nukes, they would realize it's not worth it and stop it. I think it would be more of a. I don't know. It's a weird subject to think about, but like I don't think it would be like completely nuclear Armageddon.
And someone told me China's neutral in this war. I'm like, no, they're not. They're not
Well,
neutral.
no. Well, if you look at if that happens, who would be
China's
the
not
who?
neutral in the Russia-Ukraine war. They may
Well,
have
China
voted to
actually.
abstain in the UN, but they're actively giving weapons to Russia. They're helping them.
Well, no. There's no proof that they've gave weapons to China. I mean, China
Yeah,
gave
but
weapons to
China's
Russia.
actually helping them.
There's no where is your proof that there was weapons sent?
I saw a video of Brazil supporting Ukraine. I'm like, Brazil does not support Ukraine. They're
Yeah, but
neutral.
you said China's giving weapons. Where's your proof? Where's your sources?
Because China and Russia are allies because of America.
They're not. If you
They're
really
countering
think,
American influence, which is why they're allies.
yeah, they're allies, but that doesn't mean that doesn't back up your
Now,
claim that they're supplying weapons.
I guarantee you, people are like, Russia's a Palestinian ally. Russia's using Palestine because of American
No,
influence.
but you're going over what you said. Where's your source that China was giving weapons to Russia?
I've already seen so many reports that China's
Yeah, but can you
been
label your sources?
supplying Russia, and I'm not
Where's your
even using
sources?
Western media because they are inaccurate.
Yeah, but I want to see the
Because
sources.
my thing, with Western media, I'm going to tell you something real quick. Western media, there's this one reporter died in Afghanistan. Months later, that same reporter they said died in Ukraine.
And I say, if China was giving weapons to Russia, it would be a big deal over than it is.
Russia's still struggling. In no way is Chinese weapons better than Western weapons.
We don't really know. Like, it's hard with China. You don't know because they haven't had a war with the country in but the modern days. So no one really knows. Who knows? Maybe China
But
could
they
be really
soon
weak.
will, though. They soon will, and they will be
Oh yeah.
struggling.
We won't know until the time comes. You know?
Because someone told me Russia's going to invade Poland, I'm like, stop. They're not going to.
Yeah. The only way I can see like NATO getting involved is that a missile accidentally flies over like the Ukraine's border,
Or
which is a possibility.
a skirmish between Russia and Poland happens,
Well,
and no one
yeah,
knows who
I mean,
starts it.
there's like 200,000 troops on Russia's border, like NATO troops, so I don't know. It could happen.
And my thing is, the only way a world war breaks out is if Russia declares war on NATO, India and Pakistan go to war, because
No, like I said, India, Pakistan is like, it's not gonna happen.
that's a religious conflict,
Yeah, but
but
they're
also a
not gonna
border
go to
conflict
war.
because of Jammu and Kashmir.
But they're not gonna go to war anytime soon.
And not only is India and Pakistan in that region, China's in that region.
But they're not gonna go to war anytime soon.
The
I
only
just
way Pakistan wins a war against India is if Pakistan gets Western weapons from the USA and China gets involved.
I still don't think that conflict will ever happen.
Thing is, and also, I read this on local. Russia supposedly bombed a shopping mall full of civilians, but the shopping mall that imaged was full of Ukrainian military officials. And not only that, but it's been closed for 4 months.
Well,
That's what
I
I
think
call propaganda.
well, I'm in groups of like Telegram groups of people on the ground, and the first shopping mall they did hit like months ago.
Yeah, that
There
had
were Ukrainian
that
soldiers in
had
there,
civilians, but
but
this one they recently hit, no, they didn't.
the recent one was civilians. The old one wasn't.
No, the one that I just found out about, they weren't civilians. It was
And
military.
the reason Russia did that is because the G7 thing was going on. They only did that to look fucking strong. Like you make these claims, but you don't give any sources.
My thing is because I've been paying attention to this as
Well,
well.
you
I've
don't
been like,
provide
I'm
sources.
gonna watch for propaganda by Ukraine as well in the West,
No, there is
because
propaganda on both sides, but
people tell me Russia's the one spreading propaganda. Russia's all this and that, and I'm like, we're doing the same thing. In fact,
both countries are.
there's a mass
Both,
amount of Russophobia going on.
both countries are saying propaganda. I'm not saying they're not.
And now, something tells me, like I'm saying this right now, if Saudi Arabia and Iran go to war, rip gas prices. They will
Well,
suffer.
I don't think the only conflict that I think will happen is Israel and Iran. China, Taiwan, it could, but I don't think China will actually go through with it.
Not only that, but we backed war criminals, the Saudis.
Well, America's very bad too.
Oh, and I hate it when people are like, oh, we had every right to go in Iraq and Afghanistan. Let me tell you the nationalities of the people that were responsible for the 9/11 attacks. 15 of them were from Saudi Arabia. 2 of them were from the UAE. 1 of them was from Lebanon. None of them were from Afghanistan. None of them were from Iraq.
Yeah, and Bin Laden was hiding in Pakistan the whole time.
Yeah, Bin Laden is also a Saudi citizen.
And there was no weapons of mass destruction either.
He was in Afghanistan, but he left immediately after he admitted it.
But Bush should be charged as a war criminal.
He should be.
For what he did.
Millions of Iraqis are dead because of him.
Like that. Even
And Blair.
Obama's a war criminal too.
Yeah, because of Libya and Syria. And
that's the one thing I like about Trump is that he didn't do that stupid shit.
Now, he did say, Syria, we're going to attack you because you use chemical weapons.
Yeah, and he did bomb Syria, but they were chemical weapons he bombed. He didn't bomb any civilians. It was a targeted attack.
And, like,
Trump did
I
nothing
agree
wrong.
with bombing Soleimani. He was a terrorist.
Yeah, because if they didn't kill Soleimani, more American troops would die, and more embassies would be attacked.
Yeah, and well, and that was literally
smart.
during when I was a sophomore in high school.
You know, that was a smart move by Trump.
Yeah, like, and Iran was calling death to America.
Fucking
and
good.
Speaking of Iran, we play them in the World Cup.
Canada's fucked because we have to play we have to play Belgium, Croatia, and Morocco.
We have England.
I mean, I can see America qualifying.
Well, it's gonna be England, but I have that feeling we're gonna win because England lost to the Hungarians.
No, you're not gonna beat England, but I feel like you're gonna finish second place.
We're gonna smack Iran.
Yeah, you guys are gonna go second place and go into the
the Netherlands should be red hot. Their region is weak.
You want to know what I want to see happen?
What?
Portugal and Argentina, Messi,
Ronaldo.
Yeah, I want to see that matchup. The two goats go against
I want to
each
see
other.
that too. What's their group?
I think Messi's better, by the way.
Oh, that's women's. That's the women's team. I'm on the wrong national team. Let's look at their group. They got a weak group for sure. Because Qatar's in it.
Yeah, Qatar's gonna get fucking demolished.
Yeah, we nearly went to war with Iran, and Bush put Iran in the axis of evil.
What? Why is your picks are like France, Belgium, and England?
I'm picking Belgium.
Yeah. I don't really see anyone else.
Yeah, well, the axis of evil is right. They were Ba'athist Iraq, Iran, and North Korea.
Ukraine almost made the World Cup, but I think they lost to Wales.
Canada actually stopped funding weapons to Ukraine because of Azov.
No, Canada still supplies them now.
Yeah, they almost stopped.
I never heard that once in Canadian media.
Because I listened to it I watched a video about Azov, and they mentioned that Canada stopped.
Well, I'm gonna say that's not true at all.
And I know the USA wanted to brand them as a terrorist organization, but they were like, no, because
Yeah, I think they are, but Canada never threatened to stop funding Ukraine. So I don't know what the fuck that's about, but it's not true.
Yeah, and well, in the one rant I did in March, I went off on Iran. They attacked our consulate in a Kurdish region of Iraq.
Well, it's because they know Biden is too weak to do anything.
I was like, you want to go?
I don't. America should not go into a war with Biden as the president.
I do not trust Biden whatsoever.
You know, see, maybe 4 more years of Trump wouldn't have been so bad.
I don't like Trump because of his ego.
Well, I mean, he wasn't perfect, but he was better. Like, before COVID, he was doing pretty good, and then I
He was
think,
doing solid.
you know, if you ignore the stupid shit he says, if you ignored all the stupid shit he has said, he wasn't a bad president. He was okay. I wouldn't say he was great, but he was okay. He
People
actually,
are
like,
like, Egypt is neutral. No, Egypt hates Ukraine. Egypt and Ukraine don't like each other at all.
I think, I don't know.
Egypt is a Egypt. Egypt is a U.S. and a Russian ally.
Yeah. I think Trump was like one of the only presidents since like FDR to work with the Russian
My thing
military.
is,
Because I remember America and Trump and Putin agreed to work together to take out ISIS, and both militaries were working together.
people are talking like Iran is good. I'm like, not really.
Well, I mean, Iran's probably one of the best militaries in the Middle East.
Iran is actually the only Muslim country who supported Armenia in the Karabakh region.
It doesn't matter who they supported, it matters them getting nuclear weapons, which they're almost done. That's what I'm scared about. Iran with
China. China blames like everybody too.
Yeah, well, China kind of owns the world pretty much.
And
Because we all depend on China.
Taiwan rebuffed the Philippines' complaint about South China Sea.
Well, I think what's going on right now is like China is like almost completely surrounded Taiwan with like warships. So that kind of concerns me. But I don't know. Anyways, it's pretty late. It's like 3:30. I need to get to bed.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm about to end it.
It was nice having a discussion with you, though.
Yeah, it was nice having a discussion. So
Yeah, I saw your stream pop up. So I was like, oh,
yeah, I did this because I had to do it. So I'll see you next time.